Okay, in this video we're going to look at how to factorize quadratic expressions where the coefficient of x squared is different from 1. We're going to start off with the so-called AC grouping method, and then we're going to present a method which I have called the AC compact method, which I think is a bit somewhat less risky than the grouping method for for our students. Okay, so in the grouping method, to factorize ax squared plus bx plus c, we need to find two numbers. I'm calling them m and n, such that the product of the numbers is equal to ac and the sum of the numbers is equal to b. Then after that we decompose the bx term, then we perform the grouping, then we factorize. So let's demonstrate with an example. So suppose we want to factorize 6x squared minus 5x minus 6. So that means a times c here excuse me, is going to be 6 times negative 6, so a times c is going to be negative 36, so m times n is negative 36, and then m plus n is going to be negative 5. Okay, now since the two numbers we're looking for multiply to give a negative number, which is 36 here, this is telling us that they will have opposite signs. So one of them will be positive and the other will be negative. And then the second line tells us that when we add them, the final answer is negative. So this one is telling us that the negative number between the two of them is going to be bigger. So then we can look for these two numbers in a systematic way by just working through the pairs of numbers that multiply to 36. So for instance, 1 goes with 36. Then we want the negative 1 to be the bigger one, so we're going to put negative here. So then 2 is going to go with negative 18. Then 3 is going to go with negative 12. Now along this column we're doing the product, along the lower column we're going to do the sum. So here if we do negative 36 plus 1, we're going to have negative 35. Negative 18 plus 2 is going to be negative 16. Then negative 12 plus 3 is going to be negative 9. We keep on going here until the lower number agrees with this one here. Then 4 goes with negative 9. When we add those two, we get negative 5, which is now the same as that. So that means these are the two numbers we're looking for. So 4 and negative 9. Then what I want to do in step 2 is decompose this term using these two numbers. So we're going to write negative 5 as 4 minus 9. So that means we're going to write 6x squared, okay, minus 5x minus 6. So this we're going to write as 6x squared plus 4x minus 9x minus 6. Okay, so this here is just that number there. Okay, so that's the decomposing. Then after that, we need to group these terms. So the first two terms we group together, and then the last two terms we group together. Now so this is now going to be plus 6, and then after that we factorize. So the common factor here is going to be 2x, so it's going to be 3x plus 2. Take away common factor here, it's going to be 3, so that's going to be 3x plus 2 as well. Now 3x plus 2 is now common in both of these terms, so we can factorize 3x plus 2. That leaves 2x there and minus 3 there, and that completes the factorizing. Now the problem, or the step that is usually a problem for most students, is this step here, especially if this sign is negative. So most students, you will find, will have negative there, and then the rest of the working is going to be a problem. Now the next method is called, calling it the AC compact method. It is going to circumvent this potential problem here. In fact, that method does away with these two steps here. So from here we simply go to that step. So let's see how it works. Alright, so in this method, the first step is exactly the same as in the grouping method. But then once we have got our two numbers, we substitute them into this expression here. Now in this expression, a is exactly the same as what we have there. So that's a, and then we just plug in m and n here. Then after that we factorize. There's going to be a very simple factorizing that's needed, and simplify, and that's it. So in this method, the decomposing step and the grouping step is eliminated. So let's go through that same example. Now from the previous working, we know that for this example already, m and n are equal to 4 and negative 9. So m is equal to 4 and n is negative 9, because we've just found them here. So that step is going to be exactly the same. So all we're going to do now is we're going to plug this into this formula here and say how things work out this time. So a is 6, so it's going to be 6x plus 4 into 6x minus 9, all divided by 6. Everything has been done correctly here. The 6 in the denominator should always cancel out, because we started with an expression which does not have fractions here. So here the common factor is going to be 2, so we factor out 2, so it's going to give us 3x plus 2, and for the second bracket, common factor is 3, so that's going to give us 2x minus 3, okay, all divided by 6. Now So 3 and 2 in the numerator will cancel out with 6 in the denominator. So then straight away we have 3x plus 2 into 2x minus 3. All right, so suppose for a second example we have 5x squared minus 11x plus 6. Right, so this time again m times n, so m times n is going to be 5 times 6, which is 30. M plus n is negative 11. The first one, since it's a positive number, it tells us that m and n have the same sign. So they are either both positive or both negative. Then the second statement tells us that they add up to a negative number. So that means they cannot be both positive, because we got two negative numbers. If you add them, they cannot add up to a negative number. So they have to be both negative. Then what we do again is to look through pairs of numbers that multiply to 30. So this is a systematic way of finding m and n. So we start with 1 and 30. They need to be both negative. And then when we add them here, that's going to be 31. So that's 1, 2 goes with 15. When we add this, it's going to be negative 17. 3 goes with 10. When we add them, it's going to be negative 13. 4 doesn't go into 30. 5 goes with 6. When we add this, we get negative 11. So that means these are the two numbers we're looking for, because this now is matching with that number there. So then we just again plug into this formula here. A this time is 5. So we're going to have 5x minus 5 for the first set of brackets. Then we're going to have 5x minus 6 all divided by 5. In the first pair of brackets, 5 is common, so that's going to be x minus 1. In the second set of brackets, there is no common factor, so then 5 is going to cancel out, and so our final answer is x minus 1 times 5x minus 6. Mind you, it is possible to do a quick check if our answer is correct. When we multiply the first two terms, we must get the first term here. And when we multiply the last two terms, we must get the last term in the original expression. So just quickly here, 5x times x is 5x squared. And negative 1 times negative 6 is positive 6. So that this, we could have some confidence that it is the correct answer. Perhaps just one last example. Then we will give you some examples to try yourselves. Okay, so in C, imagine we have got 4x squared plus 4x minus 15. Okay, so this time AC, which should be equal to m times n, is going to be negative 60. That's the product of A times C, and then m plus n is 4. So this is telling us that these two numbers will have opposite signs again. then they have opposite signs, but when we add them we get a positive number. So that means the bigger one is going to be positive. So the bigger number is positive. Then we look through factors of 60. So 1 is going to go with 60. The bigger is positive, so the negative goes there. When we add those two, we've got 59. 2 goes with 30. When we add those two, we've got 28. 3 goes with 20. When we add, we have got 17. 4 goes with 15. When we add, we have got this is going to be 11. 5 goes with 12. When we add, we have got 12 minus 5. It's going to be 7. 6 goes with 10. When we add, we have got 4. So those are the two numbers we're looking for. So A is 4. So we're going to have 4x minus 6 into 4x minus 10 all divided by 4. 2 is common here, so we're going to factor out 2. Going to be 2x. Sorry, this is plus 10 here from there. So it's going to be 2x minus 3. And then 2 is common as well in the second set of brackets. It's going to be 2x plus 5 all over 4. So the 2 and 2 in the numerator cancels out the 4 in the denominator, which means our final expression is 2x minus 3 times 2x plus 5. Okay, so let's give you 1 or 2 that you can try yourself. Alright, so please have a go at these two. You can pause the video, try them, then when you press play again, then you can compare with our answer. It's going to follow just after this. Alright, we're now going to scroll down to show you solutions of these two examples here. So for D, A times C is 36. So the two numbers we need should multiply to 36. B is negative 12, so they should add up to 12. This one tells us that the two numbers have got the same sign. If they add to a negative, it means they can only both be negative. So we look through pairs of factors that multiply to 36. We are making sure that they're both negative. We want the ones that add up to negative 12. So go through these and we find that it's only negative 6 times negative 6. By the way, if you can find these numbers in your head, that's fine as well. But this method is going to be especially good when you've got some big numbers. Okay, so then we plug into that formula. We're going to have 9x minus 6 into 9x minus 6 all divided by 9. 3 is common in both brackets, so and that cancels out with the 9, so it means this is a perfect square. You've got 3x minus 2 all squared. This time AC is negative 18, so that means the two numbers we're looking for have got opposite signs. B is positive 7, so that tells us that the positive one is bigger. So we'll look through pairs of numbers that multiply to 18. 1 goes with 18, the positive is bigger, so the negative goes on the negative 1. So then 2 goes with 9, that adds up to 7. So we've got 6x minus 2 into 6x plus 9, which is these two numbers. Then we factorize and cancel, so the final answer is going to be 3x into 3x minus 1 into 2x plus 3.